All right, on to a Fox News alert. This morning, a frantic search for the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, reported missing since Saturday. 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie was last seen at her home near Tucson as police confirm a homicide team is looking at the scene as well. Former FBI Investigator Bill Daly joins us now. Bill, thank you so much for joining us on this tragic news. Last seen Saturday night at 8:30 p.m. at her home. So what do we know so far about her disappearance?
Unfortunately, we know very little. We just know that, as you mentioned, the police are on scene conducting a search of the home, perhaps looking for evidence, whether it's for some nefarious purposes or to find out, what may have been left behind with regard to where she has either gone or has been taken. These kind of cases, unfortunately, are very kind of vague when they first start out. We just don't know whether or not there was any foul play or had she gone out herself on perhaps a drive or gone out for a walk or gone to visit friends and not returned. Certainly, as they start to progress in this case, they'll start to bring in various levels of technology, whether it happens to be the cell phone tracking mechanisms, or perhaps as they start looking at nearby, if there are surveillance cameras nearby, whether it's traffic cams or other nearby either residences or commercial establishments, they'll probably try to put together a timeline as to when she was last seen and what direction she may have been heading in, if in fact she was out on foot or in a car.
Bill, what do you make of a homicide team being called in for this investigation? Is that standard?
It's unfortunately, it's not something that I've heard over the years. Typically, that's something now, unless there's some type of kind of mix up or transference in the way they're describing the team, whether it happens to be an evidence response team, which can pick up things such as foul play and concerns about homicide. Perhaps that's the case where it's just an evidence response team and it's maybe mischaracterized. But if it in fact is more specifically a homicide response team, that is concerning, that they've perhaps seen some evidence of some foul play. Perhaps there's indications of either things left behind, the house is in disarray. Perhaps there could be other signs that there was a struggle. So we hope for the best. We hope that perhaps it is more just kind of gathering the evidence and having a team in there that's experienced in looking for any of these elements, but not necessarily that they have them right now, and they're just more gathering information about what happened, perhaps the last movements in the home before she went and disappeared.
The Pima County Sheriff said that she has no cognitive issues and is very alert and a very sound mind, but she does have some physical issues. Where does your mind go when you hear something like that?
Well, certainly any time there's a relative of a well-known, celebrity person, they're always concerned that there could be some foul play, that there's something either because of their association with that notable individual, that's perhaps there's some other agenda at play here, whether it happens to be somebody who is trying to carry out some type of a revenge or a vengeance issue, or in some cases, in the worst cases, and it typically happens outside the United States, where people who are celebrities who have large amounts of money, there's also a concern that there are people looking to gather that money by taking that person through a kidnap. We're not saying that's the case here. You just asked what might be the kind of range of issues that might be out there. We hope that it's something, perhaps more straightforward and direct, where perhaps that she is gone, maybe has unfortunately suffered some type of medical issue and not be able to communicate. But all these factors right now with the police responding is a very good sign that they're on the case, that they're working very diligently. They'll bring in their very good resources that they'll have at the local or state level. And if not, they can always rely on services as kind of an adjunct to it through the FBI. Director Kash Patel has been very helpful in many of these cases,
Absolutely.
the FBI, men and women, and using all their resources to try to find this individual. But yes, when you have a celebrity's relative, there's always concern that there's something else afoot.
Absolutely. Well, we do have a phone number that that could be helpful. Anyone with information, we ask to contact the Pima County Sheriff's Office at 520-351-4900, and we're praying for a positive outcome because this is certainly a concerning development. Bill, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.